Okay, now let's talk about the origin of tea. Actually, tea was discovered by Emperor Shen Nong. Everybody knows Shen Nong. He is also called the god of agriculture. And as we know, he was also a very famous herbalist. He discovered tea in almost 4,700 years ago in the deep forest of Yunnan. One day, he went to the forest in Yunnan to look for herbs. And then because he was tired, he sat down with some water, drinking some water, and accidentally some leaves falling down from nearby trees. And then he found out a very refreshing aroma. And after drinking this, leaves with his water, he felt he kind of get more energy. So that was how tea was discovered as a medicine. So ever since then, tea was considered a very important medicine in Chinese medicine. Okay, and then the next part we want to talk about is historical and scientific origin. As we mentioned earlier, tea becomes one kind of plant. Do you still remember the name of the plant? That's right, it's called Camellia sinensis. Camellia sinensis. This is an important name, even though it's difficult to remember. And then it's originated in Yunnan, as I mentioned earlier. Yunnan is the birthplace of tea. So everybody probably kind of know where Yunnan is. If you look at the map, it's in the southwest of China. So that is the birthplace of tea. And then originally, as I just mentioned, tea was discovered as medicine. But later on in the early time, it was also kind of food for people. So in the early days, people used it as kind of ingredient, cooked with like orange peels or like some spring onions and put little bit salt in there and cook with rice. So they eat it as part of the food instead of, kind of a beverage. So in the early days, food and medicine, these two functions are, together. It helps people. For example, if they were sick or they want to recharge, they drink tea, and it is also part of the food. Okay, and then the next one I want to talk about, as we mentioned, Yunnan is the birthplace of tea. So in Yunnan, there are so many big tea trees. Many years ago, like 2012, I went to Yunnan to discover, more about tea because I'm a tea lover, and especially poor. So I went to 6 different mountains in Yunnan, interesting places and environment. So later on, I will share some pictures with you. The first picture is the oldest tea tree in the world. This tea picture comes from Wikipedia. And personally, I haven't been there, but one time I drank tea from this, old tea tree. It's fascinating. So when I drank it, nothing in your mouth, but a lot of energy inside your body. So it is one of the most unforgettable drinking experience for me. So this tea is 3,200 years old. As you can see, from the picture, it's really big. And this tea tree is called 锦绣茶渚. So it is in Xishuangbanna, in Yunnan, Xishuangbanna, Fengqing. Nowadays, you cannot get closer, and it's really precious. But if you want, you still can find 1,000-year-old tea tree or hundreds of years tea trees, all across Yunnan, like Jingmai. There are a lot of tea trees older than, like 500 or 700 or even older. Or in like Lancang or in Mansa, there are so many big tea trees. And this 锦绣茶渚 we consider them tree as mother of the tea kings, because it's really big. And as I told you earlier, in Yunnan, there are so many big tea trees. Let me show you some pictures I took. So as you can see from this picture, it's in Luosui Dong, which is located in Mansa Mountain, Tea Mountain. So this tea tree, according to local people, it's about 600 years old. So I lay down on the ground and then took the picture. So it's amazing. When you look at those big tea trees, you feel like fascinated. And not only one, there are so many big tea trees. And as you can see, these two pictures, they are 3 floors high. So this, is 1 floor high, almost like 10 meters. So 10 meters is about 3 floors high. So when you look at them, they are sky high, but it's really difficult to climb up. So only local people can do it. Otherwise, it's really dangerous. So those big tea trees are thousands of years old. So it's an evidence, scientific evidence, to prove that tea has been existing in the world for such a long, long time. And also, another proof is Yunnan, Xishuangbanna, is the birthplace of tea. And then the next one I want to show you, that is one of my favorite places in terms of tea mountains. This is called Wangong Tea Mountain. So this is a forest. So many, many years ago, about like 500 years ago, there were some people living there, but because of war and then diseases, people moved out. So they kind of abandoned tea trees. So you can see a lot of tea trees, living with different kinds of trees in the forest. So those kind of tea trees has a very special aroma. We can say flower, very scented flower, and beautiful smell. And also, it's really elegant. Okay, if you got a chance to try it, don't miss it. So the mountain is called Wangong. As I previously mentioned, tea in deep forests is really precious because they are rare, very valuable. So local people, tribal people who own the rights to pick tea leaves, actually that is a very important income for them. So only local people can do it. When I say local people, actually tribal people. So as you can see from the picture, you see 4 human monkeys on the tea tree. And it's really dangerous. You need to be very skillful to do it. As you can see, there are no branches in between so that you can step on those branches and then step to the next higher one. They don't have, like ropes or something to help them. No protection equipment. They only got a big bag, on them. And then once they pick tea leaves, put in the pouch or the bag, and then coming down. So for them, it's really quick. It takes them maybe just a couple seconds from the ground to the top. And once they finish picking, they come down the ground really quickly. Although they are really skillful, but it's really dangerous. It's not an easy job at all. You need to be very skillful and then also courage. But as I said, it's a very important income for them to support their living. So even though it's very dangerous. But for me, Wangong Mountain is definitely the best, one of the best areas, for tea in the world.